Okay, here we go with round 6. Now round 6 is made in pistachio, so it's the first we see of this lovely green, and it's a really pretty round. There's a few things that can complicate this round a bit, so let's have a little chat about them. The first thing that's not as straightforward as the other rounds is that we're working in two different areas. We're working as we normally would on the next round of our project, of our piece of work, but then we're also working in the previous round. So we're working on the outer edge of round 5, but we're also working in those front loops of round 4. So when we're working on into round 5, we're working in it in the normal way, which is through both loops like that, and we're working double crochet. But when we're working into round 4, we're working into those front loops like that, and we're working the longer stitches, so the trebles and the double trebles, and they're referred to in our pattern as front post doubles and front post trebles, UK terms. And there is a very nice explanation. I'll just show you. There's a nice explanation here as to how to perform those stitches, but of course I shall be perform those stitches, make those stitches. I must stop saying perform. I will be showing you how to do them. The difficulty, or the complexity, I suppose is the word rather than difficulty. The complexity is introduced in this round because we are working on 2 levels. So we're not kind of working subsequent stitches most of the time. We're kind of doing one double up here and then one treble down here and then the next double up here. So we're kind of skipping stitches up here and down here. So it can be a little bit complicated, but this is worth noting. This is what I have found to be true. I'm going to get a needle because it's easier to show you. When we're working those long stitches into the front loops of the round 4, which is the coral round here, we're always going to be starting our pattern repeat in this one, which if you can see is just to the left of that double crochet. And when we get to the end of our repeat, the last front post stitch we do is going to be in that front loop, which is just to the right of the next double crochet. So as long as you start in here and end in here, you will be positioning your front post stitches correctly. Now, as regards the double crochet stitches, which we're just going to make in the normal way, so through both loops up here, the way they work is we're kind of working pretty much every other stitch except in the middle where we're doing 2 double crochet together, and those 2 that sit right next to each other always fall in these 2 stitches at the very top of this petal. So the 2 stitches are the 2nd and 3rd treble stitches. Now that's an awful lot of information to remember, and I will repeat it as we go around. I'll keep repeating it, but I always find it useful when there is a little bit of complexity in a pattern to find some anchor points, so that I know if certain stitches are falling in the right places, then the rest of it is probably just going to be fine. So there's a little tip, a little top tip for you. Now, another thing to tell you here is that up till this point we have had total freedom to join our yarn in wherever we fancy. But because we've now introduced this top section, the sort of squared off section, if you like, to our design, we have to be mindful of where we start and finish the rounds, because we want to maintain this straighter edge here. You know, we can repeat our petal sections around. That looks wrong to me. I'm going to just check that in a minute. But we can repeat our petal sections round absolutely fine, and then we've just got a little change to the repeat to maintain that there. So that's another bit of complexity that we're introducing this round. Don't worry, it'll be all right. We'll manage it, okay? We'll manage it. Right, let's start. If we get through this, there's a massive G&T waiting for me, so come on chaps, we can do this. Okay, Greta asks us to start by joining in our pistachio yarn into the first double crochet after the top side. So after means to the left, so the first double crochet to the left of the top side, and that double crochet is here. Now coincidentally or not, it's where we fastened off from the last round. So if it's a bit of a lump, don't worry, just push through. So we're working through both loops when we're working our double crochets up here. Just remember that. So we've got double crochet to start, which means just one chain, and that's it. That's going to count as our double crochet. Right, so here we go with the twiddly bit, the first long stitch, and our first long stitch is a front post treble. So we're going to make that in a normal way that we make any treble. Excuse me, itchy nose. And that is to wrap the yarn around our hook once. Now, do you remember when I said the first place that we start the front loop trebles is going to be to the left, always to the left of this double, and so it's in that loop. I'll tell you what, actually, let me put my needle in to show you, and then you can see where I'm aiming. So can you see it's that loop? So my front post, first front post or front loop treble goes in there. Okay, with me so far? Complete the treble. Okay, so as I said at the beginning, we're now going to switch back and work up into these stitches, and we're going to do one more double crochet. And if you remember, I said we kind of work pretty much every other stitch because we've already done a stitch that's sitting in front of the next double crochet we could work into. So our next one falls here, which is at the top of the second half treble from the previous round, so there's a double going in there. Now we're going to do a super long stitch, and it's a front post double treble. So UK terms, folks, which means twice around the hook. But what we're going to do this time, we're asked to skip a loop, so skip a front loop. So this is the next available loop here, but we're skipping that and we're going on here, and I'll leave the needle in so you can see where I'm aiming just to start with. And in we go. I promise you, you will get this. I also promise you, I undid mine about 12 times. So if you anything less than 12, consider yourself an expert. Right, now we're going to do 2 double crochet. Now these are the 2 that sit together, and remember I said the 2 that sit together always sit in trebles number 2 and 3 from the previous round. So hang on, let me show you that. That's treble number 1, treble number 2, treble number 3, treble number 4. So our 2 doubles together always sit in treble number 2 and 3. So let's do that. Anchor points, that's how I like to think of them. I'm probably adding layers of complexity. You've probably completely got this, but for my simple mind, this helps me no end. Okay, now we're going to mirror this pattern here. So we're going to do another double treble. But we're not missing a loop this time. We're going directly into the next front loop, which is that one there. Finishing that double treble. Okay, skipping a pink stitch and going in here to do one more double crochet. And we're finishing off this repeat by doing one front post treble. So once around the hook, we're asked to miss a loop. So we're not going to go into this one, we're going to go into this one. Shall I put the needle in again to show you where it falls? And again, look, this is the last one of this repeat, and look where it falls, just to the right of that double. So anchor point. Anchor point. I might get myself a catchphrase. First I'll just screens and shout anchor point. You can all cheer and clap. Right, and now you may exhale because we've completed the first repeat. Okay, so that is really as complicated as it gets, and that's absolutely fine, isn't it, really? So shall we do another one? This repeat is going to be the same around all of these petals. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can do 5 petals the same, so we can get used to it before we change a bit. Okay, so 1 double crochet into the double crochet from the previous round, working through both loops, nothing special about that. Long stitch, so it's a treble, and it's going to go into the loop that sits to the left of this double crochet down here. Remember, that's our first anchor point. Hooray! That's a treble. Skip peony pink stitch and do 1 double crochet in the next peony pink stitch. super long stitch coming up now. It's a double treble, so twice round the hook, UK terms. We're going to skip that little fella, skip that loop there, and go into the next front loop. In it goes. Okay. And now we're going to do our 2 double crochet, and we know where they sit, don't we? They sit above number 2 and 3 treble from the previous round. So there's treble number 1, 2, 3 and 4. So I'll go into number 2, anchor point, and number 3. Okay, big long stitch, so double treble again, not skipping anything this time. It's going to sit right next door to its neighbour. In it goes, through 2, through 2, through 2. Skip a peony pink stitch and do 1 double in there. In the next one. And our final long stitch is a treble, and we're going to skip 1 loop, and we're going to finish, oh look, just to the right of that double from round 4. So, you know, can you see what I mean about anchor points? It's useful to have them, because when I worked that round, I knew that this long stitch had to sit to the left of this double. I knew that this final long stitch had to sit to the right of this double, and I knew these 2 double crochet had to sit in the top of those stitches. So I find those little things really, really helpful. You may or you may not, but it just helped to reduce a little bit of complexity on this round for me. So I'm going to go around and finish the next 3 petals, and we'll reconvene when we get here, which is the top of the purse. Okay, so just got 1 more double crochet, 1 more front post treble, and then that is all of the petal sides complete, if you can see. So now we've just left to work on the top side, and it's not tremendously different, it's just we fill in this middle bit a little bit more. So coming up this side and coming down this side is actually our same pattern that we're familiar with, just the bit across the middle is a little bit different. So we start off absolutely the same in that we go into 1 double crochet in the double crochet of the round previous, and we're going to go 1 front post treble again in the same place that we're used to, so just to the left of that double crochet from round 4. Oops. And now we're going to do another, so skip 1 stitch, going to do another double crochet in round 5. Right, now we're going to skip 1 front loop and do double treble. So as I said, this is all very familiar, isn't it, at this point? Exactly as we've been working all the way around. Double treble. Our 2 double crochet, again still sitting in the same place. Can you see the 2 sets of trebles there? So there are 2 double crochets still sitting where we're expecting them to go in treble number 2 and treble number 3. So we're doing those 2, and we're going to do a front post or front loop double treble. It's referred to as front post, but front loop, whatever. Double treble into the next loop. So we've not missed anything as yet. Skip a stitch, do 1 double. And we're going to skip a loop and do 1. Sorry, I've made the camera wobble there, I don't know how. Skip a loop and do 1 double treble in the next one along. So that sits us to the right of this double crochet. So still kind of, our anchor points are still familiar. And we're going to do that 3 times. So in the next double, and a double treble, skip that, go into there, skip that loop, go into there. This is the second repeat, and we're going to do that 1 more time. So a double in there, and skip 1, and put a double along. Okay, now we're back to doing 2 double crochet, and guess where we are, chaps? Look at that, straight above 2 little sets of trebles, so our double crochet goes in treble number 2 and treble number 3. Oh, split that, let's do that again. And 1 front post, double treble. The next one there. One double crochet. Now I'm going to finish up with 1 front post treble, skipping that loop. Look where it puts us. Look where it puts us. Absolutely to the right of that double crochet. So our anchor points worked for us all the way around there. All the way around. And that is that. We've just got to do our fastening off. Jobs are good in. So I'm hoping that it is a little bit, just requires a little bit of concentration, but since concentrating is not my best point, I find little anchor points around make my life a lot easier. So fasten off and get ready to move on. Have a look, see what these two look like together. Oh, pull it through, come along. There we go. Tuck it in for now. 1, 2,